And I was unwilling to let go of that, because now you're being attacked and you're saying, wait a minute, I didn't get the credit for the invention of email, but I did invent email. And it was a very interesting journey, because I had a student in my class at MIT, very nice kid, and he was upset. And he spent 3 months in the MIT library, because when you're being attacked like this, you say, wow, maybe, and I've talked to women who get raped. When a woman gets raped, 90% of women think they did something wrong. Okay? So here I'm being viciously attacked, and I was thinking, well, maybe I didn't invent email. Maybe I am the liar, right? So I went back to 1978 and found every historical document. First of all, was the term email ever used? Did anyone ever want to do this? And one of my students finds a document written in 1977, written by the guy who was attacking me, saying, oh, he didn't invent email. And what they do is when they steal stuff from you, they always say, oh, one person could not have done this. It was done by a collaboration, okay? That's how they steal, that's how they plagiarize. How could you have done this, Ole, right? You couldn't have surely done that. You must have worked with that. So they were saying that email was invented by the military, by big companies, right? And by big universities. The military industrial academic complex. And remember, MIT is part of the military industrial academic complex. I had invented email before I came to MIT. And email was not created for killing people, war. You see, all the governments of the world have brainwashed people to think that all great inventions come from killing people. You have to do some weapons research, and then you get something. You see, it's like touching your nose, not this way, but this way, okay? They brainwashed us. But the reality was email was not invented to send messages for military operations. It was invented by a 14-year-old kid to liberate women. Women were on the typewriters all day typing this stuff. I wanted to take them from the world of the typewriter to the keyboard. Email was a civilian application. And by the way, a 14-year-old boy invented TV. His name is Philo Farnsworth, okay? He went through a very similar thing. He didn't have to deal with the color of the skin. He watched the way the cows did this action on a farm. He built his own raster tubes. He invented the first TV. RCA stole it from him. It took him 19 years to win that lawsuit. He died an alcoholic, and it took him 60 years to get credit for that. And he did it outside of the military industrial complex. You see, the fact is, great innovations innovation can occur anytime, any place, by anybody. You don't have to go to an institution. I didn't have to go to MIT. In many ways, MIT suckered me there and then gave me their brand to exploit me, when you look at it retrospectively. So the story gets very interesting, because I figured all this out, and we find this document written by this guy, David Crocker. It says at this time, he's writing this in 1977. No attempt is being made to build that interoffice mail system. You see, these were old white guys. They thought this was impossible. They were also sexist. They didn't think a woman, that's what they meant, users of differing expertise could even use a computer. So what I created was email the system. They were doing simple messages at best. You follow? But they thought you couldn't even create this. So Noam Chomsky was an institute professor at MIT. Noam read all this, and he was the only professor who came out. He said, it's obvious email was invented by a 14-year-old kid. By the way, Noam Chomsky is the second most cited human in science, next to Jesus Christ, okay? More people cite his work than anyone else's. Now, this gets even more interesting, and it's a little bit relevant. Some of you may know a guy called Elon Musk, right? Elon Musk has actually created nothing. He didn't create Tesla. He actually gave money, and then he sued the two founders to have his name put on it. Every company he's done has been a miserable failure, actually. He didn't create PayPal. The company he did was actually sold to Peter Thiel, and they resurrected him. He's basically an actor, and we'll talk more about him, okay? So Walter Isaacson, you can look him up. Walter Isaacson is the head of the Aspen Institute. He's a former head of the Wall Street Journal. He's the elite's elite think man. Okay. Walter Isaacson wrote the book on Steve Jobs. So this is now in 2014. So 2012 is when the attacks began. And I would try to go find lawyers to help me fight these guys. Oh, you didn't invent email. Ha, ha, ha. The lawyers would say that. All right. So anyway, but in 2014, Walter Isaacson writes this book. And look at the book. So this is written by Walter Isaacson, who, by the way, just wrote the biography on Elon Musk. Now he's writing a book called Innovators of the Digital Revolution, how a group of hackers, geniuses, and geeks created the digital revolution. So in 2014, he's looking back at 1970 and talking about the digital revolution. Is not email a part of the digital revolution? Isn't it? He leaves email out of the whole book. Email's not even mentioned. But he talks about all these people who invented things. And tell me what you see. And these are the people he highlights in his book, the innovators of the digital revolution. Do you see the problem I have with this book? Including a white woman. So no one of color, of any background, has contributed to and email is left out, completely left out of it. This book was commissioned because they knew that I wasn't letting go. You see? So what they didn't know about me was the following, okay? And by the way, in this book, Walter Isaacson attributes, and then he puts this guy in the book. This guy was a former president of MIT in 1940. He's the one who created Raytheon. You see, in 1940 is when all of the universities and corporations become one. And Vannevar Bush was the one who created Raytheon. And many scholars said that's when MIT no longer became an independent institution. It became part of the military war machine. And Walter Isaacson in the book says all great innovations come from the military industrial academic complex. These people. And remember, I was part of that when I was at MIT. But this picture of a 14-year-old kid who did email before he came to MIT doesn't fit. You see, the fact is innovation occurs outside of the military industrial complex. And I didn't need to go to MIT. And that's what bothered them. In fact, they went to Wikipedia and completely started editing all my wiki pages. One of the Wikipedia editors wrote this to me, senior editor. He tried to actually give me credit. And he goes, right away, my edits were deleted without discussion. He goes, I was called reckless. I was aggressively attacked. Okay. This was a random guy who wrote to me.